What I wanted to share with you is a few insights into the difference between an IRA 401k qualified plan rollover versus a rollout. And why is this significant? It's because of the results of the election. Okay, so as of the recording of this, it shows that Trump, they finally got the counts all completed in Nevada. And so we just still have Arizona. We're waiting to see the results. But Donald Trump handily won the election with over 300 electoral votes. Now, this is not a political agenda here, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I have counseled many, many people of both parties. And when I show them how they can save not just a little bit, but tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of unnecessary tax, it doesn't matter what their political affiliation is. They want to seize the opportunity. Okay, so we have an opportunity now during this window, because when I speak across the country and I ask audiences, how many of you think that taxes in the long run, in the future, will likely be lower? And I get nothing but crickets. How many think they're going to be the same? And one or two raise their hand. But when I ask how many think that in the long run taxes will likely be higher, a sea of hands goes up. And then I say, well, then why are you continuing to defer, postpone, procrastinate paying tax on a traditional IRA or 401k, and then withdrawing your money later down the road at higher tax rates, if that's what you're convinced about? That doesn't make sense. And when they finally have this wake-up call, they realize, wow, I got to do something different. The fact of the matter is 91% of Americans have their money in yet-to-be-taxed IRAs or 401ks, and they're actually painting themselves into a tax trap corner. I would love to free you from that tax trap, and that's why I'm teaching an educational webinar next Tuesday, November 12th at 11:30 a.m. You can go to retirebydesign.event.com and register for this free educational webinar. It's going to go 90 minutes, but I'm going to teach you the difference there of a rollover versus a rollout. So let me give you just a little brief explanation. A rollover, as far as I'm concerned, is like going from the frying pan into the fire. Okay, that's where people many times get duped into taking their money as they reach their 60s or age 59 and a half, and they can actually access money out of those qualified accounts, IRAs or 401ks, without a 10% penalty. But they don't need the money yet, and so they get duped into deferring until their age 72, 73, and then they're told to take RMDs, required minimum distributions, which I think is the worst advice for most Americans, thinking they're saving tax. No, you take RMDs, you're paying the least amount of tax in that given year, but you're actually increasing the tax because you're stringing it out, and you'll continue to pay tax out to your life expectancy, your spouse's life expectancy, and then when your children inherit those IRAs or 401ks, they have to pay tax on that within 10 years, okay? And when you add all that up, people are flabbergasted the amount of tax they have to pay. So years ago, I created what is called a strategic rollout, not a rollover. This is where you're strategically rolling money out of those IRAs or 401ks, getting the taxes over and done with sooner than later. And then you don't need to spend the money. Okay, you reposition the after-tax money because you're getting taxes taken care of at today's lowest rates, and your current tax bracket is likely the lowest bracket you will ever be in. I thought that was only going to last about another year until the 2017 Trump tax reductions were going to sunset or expire. Had Kamala Harris won, because she was going to dramatically increase taxes and tax unrealized capital gains, increase corporate taxes, inheritance tax, because they've been spending way more than what they bring in, and they have printed money to try to cover that, and that causes inflation, and that has not been popular, and so they had to raise taxes. Now, Trump, being Republican, he believes to raise tax revenue is best done by raising the revenue that's generated in America that gets taxed. Okay, raise the revenue that is getting taxed, and you will end up with more tax revenue than just raising taxes, which causes corporations to contract, not hire, not expand, and that's what they were preparing to do in anticipation of what the polls were predicting that Harris would win, okay? Because she was going to raise taxes from 21 to 28% for corporations. Now, knowing what we know, we have this window. And I think Donald Trump will extend the 2017 tax cuts where many Americans are in either a 22% federal bracket or a 24% bracket, okay? If you're a married couple, for example, filing a joint tax return, you can have a taxable income of up to $201,000 for the year 2024 and only pay 22% in tax. At the end of 2025, that was going to jump back up again to 24, maybe bump it up to 25 or whatever. But the 24% bracket, which is married couples having a taxable income up to $383,000, they only pay 24%, and that was going to jump to 28, which is not just 4% more. It's actually 16% more money, because on every $1,000 of income, if you used to pay $240, and now you have to pay $280, $40 more. 40 divided into 240, okay, that's actually 16% more money that people have to shell out. It was actually going to be the biggest tax increase this country's seen in a long, long time. And so that is going to be postponed. To do a strategic rollout, if somebody had, let's say, $250,000 and yet to be taxed IRAs or 401ks, I would be telling them, in a 22% bracket, you have room up to $201,000 to pay 22%. Pull out $50,000 a year. Even if you pull out enough and it moves you into 24, you're only paying an extra 2% on the overage that you pulled out over and above that $200,000. If you pulled out, if your income was $210,000, you only pay an extra 2% on the last $9,000 of income. It doesn't retroactively take you back to 24% tax, okay? And so it would behoove many Americans to look seriously at a strategic rollout to get taxes over and done with sooner than later. And usually I recommend that over a 4 or 5 year period so that you don't move higher than the 24% tax bracket. 24%, a married couple can have up to $383,900 in 2024 and pay no more than 24%. There's a lot of married couples that maybe have $300,000 of income, so there's $83,000 of room that you could pull money out of an IRA or 401k and not pay any more than 24%. If you think, well, I don't want to pay the tax, you're fooling yourself, because you're not saving tax. You're going to have to pay it sooner or later, okay? And do you remember the old Fram Autolite commercial where an automobile mechanic on TV would hold up an oil filter and say, you can either pay me now and I'll change your oil filter, which is very inexpensive, or you can wait and pay me later and replace your engine. Well, see, people who think that they're saving tax by postponing and deferring and taking RMDs are fooling themselves. And so if you want to learn about a strategic rollout, not a rollover, join us for an educational webinar this coming Tuesday, November 12th. I will be teaching along with my son, who's one of the nation's top tax strategists, Emran. He's a co-author of a couple of my books with me. And we're going to start that webinar at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and we're going to teach for 90 minutes. You're going to see some insights and some opportunities that you probably didn't know existed before, and you're going to want to rethink your thinking now that we know the results of the election and get taxes over and done with sooner than later while your account values are lower and your tax rates are lower, and then get it repositioned into something that's tax-free from now on. And if you don't know what that is, we'll teach you what is totally tax-free, and at the end of the day, we'll actually reimburse you probably entirely for the amount of tax you may pay, even at those lower rates. Otherwise, you can wait and put it off, and you're going to pay 28% or 31% or 32% or higher. I would recommend not doing that. So how do you register for this free webinar? Go to Retire by Design, retirebydesignevent.com, retirebydesignevent.com, or this YouTube channel. It's called 3-Dimensional Wealth. You can just go to 3-Dimensional Wealth, the number 3dimensionalwealth.com, and you can go in there and check out the events. And that's the soonest one, next Tuesday. Now we know the results of the election. So please join us for this awesome opportunity, and hope to see you on the other side of your brighter future to take advantage of these lower tax rates.